Pooh Shiesty's world just flipped upside down, and the latest developments could change everything. What started as legal trouble and courtroom battles has now escalated into a situation that seems impossible to recover from. Fans, critics, and even fellow artists are watching in disbelief as the rapper faces challenges that could define or derail his career entirely. Headlines are everywhere, social media is buzzing, and the debate is heated. Is this the end of the road for Pooh Shiesty, or is there a path forward? In recent weeks, the pressure has only intensified. Legal experts and insiders hint at consequences far more serious than the public first realized. Every move, every word, and every social media post is being dissected, leaving no room for mistakes. The combination of ongoing legal scrutiny, public opinion, and industry reaction has created a perfect storm, and the rapper's ability to bounce back seems increasingly unlikely. This isn't just another controversy or drama-filled headline. The stakes are higher than ever. Reputation, career momentum, and financial stability all hang in the balance. Fans are desperate for answers, wondering if the situation is salvageable, while critics argue that the rapper may have crossed a line that can't be undone. In this video, we'll break down exactly what led to this turning point, how it affects Pooh Shiesty's career, and what the implications are for the music industry. From court developments to industry reactions, nothing is off-limits. If you've been following Pooh Shiesty's journey, you'll want to see every detail of this shocking and possibly career-defining moment. Pooh Shiesty had been on a meteoric rise in the rap game, known for his distinctive voice, gritty storytelling, and an energy that made him one of the most talked-about young artists in hip-hop. But just as quickly as his career ascended, trouble started creeping in. And now the situation has escalated into something far more serious than fans, or even the industry, could have anticipated. The rapper, who once seemed unstoppable, is now facing a legal and professional storm that has left both his team and supporters questioning whether there's any path forward. It began with a series of incidents that, while individually concerning, didn't seem catastrophic at the time. Court dates were missed, legal representation shifted, and rumors circulated that his inner circle might not be providing the guidance necessary to navigate these challenges. But over time, these events compounded, creating a scenario that left Pooh Shiesty vulnerable on multiple fronts. The music world watched with unease, sensing that the combination of public scrutiny and legal exposure could become catastrophic if not handled carefully. Social media played a huge role in amplifying the situation. Fans, critics, and influencers dissected every post, every story, and every snippet of information. Speculation ran rampant. Was he going to face jail time? Could his label continue to support him? Would his reputation survive? Each day brought new theories, leaks, and rumors, creating a sense of urgency and anxiety that extended far beyond his immediate circle. The digital environment made it impossible to control the narrative, and every misstep seemed magnified, leaving little room for error. Meanwhile, the industry reaction began to reflect the severity of the situation. Promoters started reconsidering bookings, collaborations were put on hold, and label executives began quietly assessing contingency plans. While some insiders expressed loyalty, others were concerned that the negative publicity could ripple across other artists and partnerships. For a young rapper whose career momentum had been building steadily, the sudden shift from celebrated rising star to legal cautionary tale sent shockwaves through the industry. The courtroom battles, which had previously been just a backdrop to his daily life, now became central to the conversation. Legal experts began weighing in publicly, pointing out that recent developments made his situation more complicated than previously understood. Allegations, combined with procedural missteps and the way his team had handled communications, contributed to the perception that recovery might be nearly impossible. For fans who had followed his rise, the contrast was jarring. The energy, confidence, and influence of Pooh Shiesty on the stage seemed whirled away from the uncertainty and vulnerability he now faced behind the scenes. Financial implications were another critical factor. Ongoing legal battles are costly, and the combination of potential fines, halted earnings, and reputational damage threatened to undermine not just his present success but also future opportunities. Tours, collaborations, and endorsements, all avenues that could solidify a young artist's financial security, was suddenly at risk. Even if he were to avoid the worst-case scenario legally, the long-term effects on his brand and relationships within the music industry could be irreversible. Throughout all of this, fans remained vocal, trying to interpret every signal from the rapper, his label, and the media. Online communities debated whether the situation could be salvaged or if it had already crossed a point of no return. Each post, each interview, each snippet of leaked information was analyzed with meticulous attention, creating a pressure cooker environment where every action had consequences. The combination of public scrutiny, legal complexity, and industry caution made it clear that Pooh Shiesty was walking a precarious line, and that a single misstep could have cascading effects. Even peers in the industry, who had once celebrated his rise, began to react cautiously. Collaborations and social media interactions were scrutinized for signs of support or distance. Some artists publicly expressed concern, while others stayed silent, perhaps calculating the risk of association. It became clear that his situation wasn't just personal or legal, it was shaping the way the industry viewed him, altering both current and future relationships. The stakes were immense, and the narrative surrounding Pooh Shiesty had shifted dramatically, from rising star to a cautionary tale whose consequences could extend far beyond the courtrooms. The legal complications surrounding Pooh Shiesty's situation escalated quickly, and the recent court developments only deepened concerns that his career may never fully recover. Court documents revealed new allegations, procedural delays, and rulings that placed him in an increasingly precarious position. Legal experts watching the case noted that these developments could limit his options and force his team into reactive measures rather than proactive strategies. The sense of urgency was palpable. Every action now carried potential consequences that could be career-defining. Inside the courtroom, tensions ran high. Attorneys representing both sides faced intense scrutiny as judges and public observers tracked every motion, ruling, and argument. What had once been a series of routine legal proceedings transformed into a high-stakes, and the industry reaction was immediate. Collaborations that had been planned months in advance were postponed or quietly shelved. Promoters and venue managers began reconsidering scheduled appearances, wary of being associated with ongoing legal controversies. Sponsorship opportunities were put on hold, as brands weighed the risks of public backlash against supporting an artist embroiled in significant legal trouble. Even label executives, who had previously stood behind Pooh Shiesty, were reportedly consulting legal counsel and crisis management teams to navigate the fallout. In a business built on visibility and momentum, the uncertainty surrounding his legal situation was catastrophic. Social media became a battleground. Fans, critics, and even other artists debated the implications of each legal update. Every post, rumor, or leaked snippet of information fueled speculation, creating a heightened sense of urgency and drama. Hashtags calling attention to his legal troubles trended, and reaction videos proliferated across platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. The pressure on Pooh Shiesty and his team intensified daily, as public opinion became both a mirror and a magnifier of the challenges he faced. With millions watching, there was no room for missteps. Each statement, each social media interaction, could influence perceptions in real time. Financial concerns compounded the problem. Tours, performances, and collaborations, major sources of income for rising artists, were now in jeopardy. Pending contracts and deals were stalled, and brands were hesitant to commit until the situation clarified. Even if Pooh Shiesty avoided the worst legal outcomes, the ripple effects of cancelled appearances and paused collaborations could leave long-lasting gaps in his career trajectory. For a young artist whose rise had been meteoric, the combination of lost earnings, reputational risk, and diminished opportunities represented a potential career setback that could take years to recover from, if recovery was even possible. Inside his inner circle, stress and tension were mounting. Advisors, managers, and legal representatives worked around the clock to chart a path forward, balancing legal strategy with public relations concerns. Every decision, whether to speak publicly, post on social media, or engage with media outlets, was carefully weighed against potential repercussions. Yet even the most meticulous planning could not fully mitigate the unpredictable nature of public perception or the legal system. Each day brought new challenges, and the pressure of navigating multiple fronts simultaneously weighed heavily on the team and the artist himself. For fans, the developments were both shocking and heartbreaking. Those who had supported Pooh Shiesty from the beginning felt a mix of frustration, disappointment, and concern. Online communities were divided. Some defended him fervently, arguing that the situation was exaggerated, while others questioned his judgment and the choices that had led to this crisis. Every update fueled conversations, debates, and speculation, creating an environment where the narrative was as influential as the legal realities themselves. In this climate, even small missteps could become magnified, and every action could be scrutinized with extreme intensity. As the days turned into weeks, it became increasingly clear that Pooh Shiesty's situation was no longer just a legal challenge. It was a defining moment for his entire career. The combination of courtroom developments, industry hesitation, financial uncertainty, and public scrutiny created a perfect storm that tested not only his resilience but also his ability to navigate complex and high-stakes challenges. Recovery would require more than talent or fan support. It would demand careful strategy, timing, and perhaps a degree of luck that could not be guaranteed. The question lingering for fans and insiders alike was simple yet profound. Could Pooh Shiesty survive this moment and regain his momentum, or had recent events created a point of no return? Every legal update, every social media post, and every industry reaction added weight to this narrative, making it one of the most critical junctures of his career. What had once been a story of rising stardom was now a cautionary tale, one that illustrated how quickly circumstances could change in the high-pressure world of hip-hop. The public reaction to Pooh Shiesty's legal troubles was immediate, intense, and relentless. Social media platforms erupted with opinions, memes, and debates about the rapper's situation, with fans and critics dissecting every headline, every court update, and every social media post. Twitter threads, Instagram stories, and TikTok clips analyzed his every move, creating a constant stream of commentary that left little room for privacy or reflection. For an artist whose career had relied on momentum and public visibility, the constant scrutiny became a double-edged sword. It kept him in the conversation, but also magnified the seriousness of his situation to a scale that was impossible to ignore. Media outlets across the country seized on the story, framing it as a cautionary tale in the world of hip-hop. Headlines ranged from factual reporting to sensationalized takes, each emphasizing the idea that Pooh Shiesty's actions and circumstances could have long-lasting consequences. Analysts and music journalists debated the implications for his career, questioning whether the legal hurdles he faced could be overcome or if they marked the beginning of a steep decline. Some commentators suggested that even if he navigated the courts successfully, the damage to his reputation might linger, influencing label support, fan perception, and future collaborations. The industry's response was equally telling. Fellow artists, producers, and collaborators began to navigate the tricky line between loyalty and caution. Some offered public support, using social media to show solidarity, while others remained silent, possibly calculating the risks of association. Booking agents and promoters became hesitant, reassessing scheduled performances and appearances. Labels began examining contingency plans, concerned about ongoing legal exposure and potential financial implications. The combination of public scrutiny, industry hesitation, and social media pressure created a climate where every move Pooh Shiesty made was under a microscope, and even minor missteps could have amplified consequences. Financially, the situation became increasingly precarious. Tours, merchandise sales, and collaborations, the lifeblood of a rising artist's career, were disrupted or delayed. Sponsors paused campaigns, wary of negative associations, while investors watched carefully to gauge whether future projects could be marketed successfully. Even if legal outcomes turned favorable, the ripple effects of lost revenue, halted promotions, and fractured public perception could take months, if not years, to recover from. Every new piece of information, whether a court filing, an interview, or a social media post, was dissected for clues about his next move, creating an environment in which his career trajectory felt like it was being decided not just in court, but in the court of public opinion. At the same time, the legal challenges themselves became more complex. Court dates, motions, and hearings created a whirlwind of obligations and deadlines that required constant attention from his legal team. Missteps or delays could have serious consequences, and the pressure to maintain compliance while managing public perception was immense. The combination of procedural complexity, ongoing media attention, and financial strain meant that Pooh Shiesty's team had to operate with precision, strategy, and constant vigilance. Every decision mattered, and the margin for error was virtually non-existent. Even within the music industry, whispers of potential fallout spread. Executives discussed long-term implications for branding, collaborations, and audience engagement. The reality was stark. An artist's reputation, once tarnished, can be extremely difficult to rebuild, particularly in a climate where public attention is relentless and social media amplifies every misstep. For Pooh Shiesty, the stakes were no longer just personal. They were structural, affecting his career, partnerships, and standing within hip-hop. As the days went on, it became clear that the narrative surrounding Pooh Shiesty had shifted dramatically. What had once been a story of rising talent and promise was now dominated by legal scrutiny, public speculation, and industry caution. The combination of these pressures created an environment in which recovery would require more than talent. It demanded careful management, strategic communication, and perhaps a degree of luck that could not be guaranteed. For fans, insiders, and the artist himself, the stakes could not have been higher, and every decision in the coming weeks would be critical. Ultimately, Part 3 highlights that Pooh Shiesty's situation was no longer just a temporary setback. It had become a defining moment. His legal, financial, and reputational challenges had converged, leaving him in a position where the next moves would determine whether his career could survive or if this turning point would become a permanent roadblock. In the world of hip-hop, comebacks are possible, but they require careful timing, public perception management, and unwavering support, all of which were now in question. As Pooh Shiesty's situation continued to unfold, the intensity of public and industry scrutiny reached unprecedented levels. Fans across social media were glued to every update, dissecting court filings, social media posts, and interviews with his legal team. Each new piece of information sparked heated debates, creating a constant feedback loop where speculation often felt as powerful as the facts themselves. Memes, reaction videos, and hot takes dominated platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, making the rapper's situation a cultural talking point far beyond just the hip-hop community. For many, it was no longer just about his music. It had become a cautionary tale about the fragility of fame and the high stakes of the music industry. Industry insiders were watching with equal intensity. Collaborators who once rushed to work with him paused to reconsider partnerships. Producers, other artists, and even label executives began taking a more cautious approach, weighing the risks of association. Some expressed support publicly, framing the situation as an opportunity for redemption, while others remained silent, choosing distance over potential backlash. This caution reflected an understanding that public perception in the digital age moves fast, and any misstep could taint reputations by association. The ripple effect of the legal drama was evident. It wasn't just about Pooh Shiesty, it affected everyone around him. Financial ramifications became even more pronounced as deals were delayed or quietly shelved. Tours, collaborations, and sponsorships were put on hold, with brands reluctant to commit while uncertainty loomed. Even streaming numbers, once a measure of unbridled momentum, showed signs of strain as public focus shifted from the music to the controversy. Agents and managers scrambled to mitigate financial losses, while simultaneously working to protect future opportunities. The combination of legal exposure and reputational risk created a perfect storm, where even successful navigation of the courts might not be enough to repair the damage done. The media coverage surrounding Pooh Shiesty was relentless, amplifying both his legal and reputational challenges. Each outlet, whether traditional or digital, contributed to the narrative that this was more than just a temporary setback. Analysis ranged from objective legal breakdowns to sensationalized speculation, creating an environment where facts and interpretation blurred. Fans, already emotionally invested, shared opinions, speculated on outcomes, and weighed in on what they saw as the likely trajectory of his career. In the process, public attention became a pressure point that could influence both legal proceedings and industry decisions. Social media discussions highlighted the tension between loyalty and criticism. Die-hard fans defended the rapper, pointing to his talent and past contributions, while critics questioned the choices that led him to this point. Every interview, every public statement, and even minor interactions online became scrutinized for clues about his mindset, strategy, or potential next move. The environment was high stakes. Every action carried reputational weight, and every misstep could be amplified across millions of followers in real time. For a young artist navigating a complex legal situation, the pressure was unlike anything experienced during typical career ups and downs. Meanwhile, his inner circle worked tirelessly behind the scenes. Managers, advisors, and legal counsel coordinated efforts to navigate the dual challenges of the courts and public perception. Decisions were carefully measured, balancing legal strategy with the need to protect his brand and maintain credibility with fans and industry partners. Every step was weighed against multiple contingencies: potential media backlash, reactions from collaborators, and the evolving legal landscape. The delicate balance between transparency and discretion became a daily challenge, illustrating how much nuance was required to navigate a high-profile crisis. The combination of legal challenges, financial uncertainty, and public scrutiny created a situation that many in the industry described as a potential career-defining moment, or career-ending one. Even if the legal hurdles were cleared, the long-term impact on relationships, collaborations, and fan trust could remain. Executives emphasized that in today's music climate, perception is just as important as performance. For Pooh Shiesty, the challenge was not just surviving the immediate legal battles, but navigating a landscape where every past decision, public statement, and association could affect his ability to rebuild momentum. By the end of this period, it was clear that Pooh Shiesty's situation had evolved from a series of legal complications into a fully fledged crisis. Social media, industry reaction, financial pressures, and media scrutiny all converged, creating a scenario where the consequences were both immediate and potentially long-lasting. What had begun as concern over legal matters had transformed into a broader reckoning for the rapper, one that required strategic thinking, resilience, and a careful recalibration of public and professional relationships. The question hanging over the entire situation was stark. Could he weather the storm, or had he crossed a line that could permanently alter the trajectory of his career? As the weeks passed, the weight of Pooh Shiesty's situation became increasingly undeniable. The combination of legal scrutiny, industry hesitation, and public scrutiny created a perfect storm that tested the limits of his career. Even his most loyal fans began to voice concern, questioning whether the rapper could recover from this series of events. Online conversations were filled with speculation about whether his reputation would survive, if record deals would remain intact, and whether collaborations with high-profile artists would resume. In a world where perception often carries as much power as talent, Pooh Shiesty faced a challenge far greater than any he had encountered in his musical journey. Industry insiders painted a grim picture. Collaborators and executives expressed frustration at the uncertainty, noting that the prolonged legal situation had delayed multiple projects and paused key revenue streams. Some artists who had been scheduled for upcoming features or collaborations quietly pulled out, while promoters re-evaluated planned appearances and shows. Even within his label, discussions centered on risk management, contingency plans, and the potential long-term impact on the brand. While some executives remained supportive, others were cautious, recognizing that prolonged association with controversy could affect other artists and partnerships. Financial implications grew increasingly severe. Tours, endorsements, and sponsored appearances, all critical sources of income for a rising star, remained in limbo.